Hi, welcome to my office. I'm DRB. Yeah, today we're going to talk about cancel culture, and you'll have the definition below and in the YouTube comments, or I'm sorry, YouTube description section with this video. I wanted to share with you a few pages from this book, and I'm gonna point the camera to the text as I'm reading it to you. And I want you to get a good look at the title. We Will Not Cancel Us, and other dreams of transformative justice, written at the end of 2020 by Adrienne Maree Brown. And she writes this book after being on sabbatical and during COVID, when she had time to, which is sabbatical is normally the time that you take to write or do research, and usually it is a time that you have space to think, and so she would have had it regardless of COVID-19. So she writes, bringing abolition home, learning and untangling in public. When I was writing Unthinkable Thoughts, Call Out Culture in the Age of COVID-19, the next piece in this collection, I felt clear about the distinctions I wanted to make, the invitation I wanted to make to movement. Can we hold each other as the systems that weaken and distort our humanity crumble? Can we release our binary ways of thinking of good and bad in order to collectively grow from mistakes? Can we be abolitionist with each other? Can we be principled and discerning in movement conflict? I had people I trust read it beforehand, and when I pressed publish, I felt scared of what might come, but also faithful that every word was the most accurate, the one I knew for the feeling I was trying to express, that people would understand my intentions. The initial waves of feedback and the overwhelming majority of feedback has been gratitude and affirmation. I have received so many messages and testimonials from people in sectors of movement that feel seen in the piece and saddened by the quickness with which we turn against each other, troubled by our apparent collective excitement when we attack each other. The feedback came from long-term organizers, facilitators, people who identify as survivors, and those who have caused harm, and as both, as neither. Some of it was public, some of it was text from comrades I hadn't heard from in a while. I exhaled. What I felt was not just in my head or within my isolated crew. My publisher said, "Let's get this in print." I was excited to pull together a little book that gives us more options, more patience, more kindness, and space for healing together. But then a second wave of feedback came from other survivors. And as I listened, I felt defensive. "Did you read the whole piece?" Dismissed. "Don't you know I'm an abolitionist survivor? Don't you know how much abuse intervention I have been a part of?" Hurt. "Why are you coming at me like this?" And finally, curious. What am I not seeing, not hearing? What do I not know? What can I learn? I asked more people for feedback and have had conversations, emails, text threads. I've learned a lot more about some things I thought I knew, heard a lot of stories, gossip, in context that people assumed I'd already knew because my name is reaching further than I can track. Learning that so many more people are struggling with call-outs in this moment that I had any idea about. And some of them felt helped by my writing while others felt offended. I have learned how in certain communities the piece exacerbated existing tensions I wasn't fully aware of. I got clearer on what parts were triggers for people, what parts are political disagreement, and what parts are both. I honed in on what it is within my expertise and reaffirmed that celebrity activism is not my jam. Here are some things I'm learning. And this is DRB speaking now. I want to say this is so important to the work. Admitting that we don't know enough. Admitting we don't know anything. Admitting we don't know another person's experience. Admitting we were wrong. Admitting we're sorry, we need to be accountable, all those things. So I love that she lists these, and I'm going to read them. So bear with me. We're about halfway through this reading. Here are some things I'm learning. 1, I need to be much clearer in my distinctions between harm and abuse. As someone who has experienced both, I was reminded of how important it was to me that my abuse be acknowledged as what it was, not reframed into a lesser impact. How important it was that I be allowed total boundaries, space for rage, space for healing. How much I needed assurance that it wasn't my fault and that it wasn't my job to make sure those who abused and or harmed me got their healing together. But as I've moved away from that period of my own life, I've gotten comfortable with the catch-all language of harm and harm doers, which blurs the danger and impact. Part of my critique of the way call-outs are being used is that not liking someone, social media offenses, power misuse in work settings, movement conflict, and sexual assault are all getting the same level of public response. But even in that critique, I collapsed all these distinct experiences into one word: harm. I'm sorry for the pain and erasure I know that caused to other survivors. And in this booklet, I work to pull these distinctions apart as clearly as I know how. I will make better use of content and trigger warnings. I explored my argument with language that felt precise to me and within my right to use as a Black witch. It is also language that has been weaponized against communities I love by people I am not politically aligned with, and I am earnestly looking for other metaphors to work with. I don't know how we get from here to there. I don't know if we have what it takes right now to support survivors while also holding an abolitionist lens, and it isn't fair on my part to make that apparent gap clear. And it isn't fair on my part to not make that apparent gap clear. If you're reading along with me, you probably saw it already. Those who are expert in holding domestic violence, intimate partner violence, rape support, and other skilled areas will have to lead that realm, in that realm of abolition, in part by pointing us all towards the skills we need to develop in order to actually take on community accountability. The hopeful news is that we have the teachers, but will we prioritize learning? And how do we not drop long-haul survivor support along the way? I do believe deeply in the power of mediation. I keep saying meditation. It's not. It is mediation in instances of conflict within movements and including interpersonal conflict. I believe it works because I've held in it. I've seen movements benefit from having people experience principled struggle with each other, set necessary boundaries, request and receive authentic, inadequate, and adequate apologies, and continue to be committed to something larger than themselves. I have to be very intentional as I gain more followers. While I did not seek fame or ask for any pedestals, I can't deny that more people are taking my words seriously, and that is a privilege. I am not taking down the original blog post because I think more can be learned from keeping it up and being transparent in what I am learning. I know I am not learning in solitude, and I hope the process helps others learn I did commit to not putting it in print without adaptations that reflect my learning. And I hope that that is how you see the piece in the piece that follows. I see all of this as a larger process of exploring abolition as an emergent strategy, and a longer multi-voice project around that will be coming out in the next year or two. I am not alone in that exploration. Some learning needs to be, some learning needs to be face-to-face, heart-to-heart, or at a minimum, thoroughly expressed. I am excited for the conversations I am in as a result of the piece. And I feel so much possibility on the horizon around how we get good at conflict and turn and face the harm and abuse rampant in our movement communities. Learn to be in the complex work of abolition and survival, and actually transform the systems that hurt us into systems that hold us and allow us to heal. And so I'll give you you can look at the essay. I'll give you this first paragraph. I'll read it. Principled struggle, conflict, harm, and other terms used here. Unthinkable Thoughts Call Out Culture in the Age of COVID-19 was written as an emotional inquiry. Having been away on sabbatical for half a year and returned, it felt so clear to me that our movements are in danger because we don't know how to handle conflict or how to move towards accountability in satisfying and collective ways. It feels like we don't know how to belong to each other, to something big and collective and decolonizing. So here you go. Buy the book, AK Press 2020. AK Press is a nonprofit. You can also get it on Amazon. And you will, like you said, find the original essay in the link. So thanks for listening and reading with me.